It was a bright and breezy afternoon in California. The sun was shining, the streets were busy with shoppers, and expensive cars moved slowly along the roads of Beverly Hills. People were out wearing stylish clothes and walking in and out of beautiful stores with shiny windows and famous brand names. It was a place full of luxury, beauty, and confidence. Among the crowd was an older woman, walking quietly on the sidewalk. Her name was Lakshmi. She wore a simple cotton sari, soft sandals, and carried a small brown purse. Her hair was neatly tied back in a bun, and she had a peaceful smile on her face. To most people around her, she looked like someone's sweet grandmother who had just come out for a walk. But what no one knew was that she was the mother of Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, one of the most powerful tech companies in the world. Lakshmi had come to the United States to visit her son after many years. She had never been interested in fancy things. Back in India, she lived in a modest home, cooked her own meals, and preferred simplicity. She used to be a stenographer in a government office and had lived her life with discipline and quiet strength. Even when Sundar became rich and famous, she never changed her habits. But this time, her son insisted. "Amma," he had said over the phone, "you've spent your whole life taking care of others. This time, let me take care of you. Go out, try something new. Don't think about the price. Just enjoy." He had given her his credit card and asked his personal assistant to help her with whatever she needed. Lakshmi, shy at first, finally agreed. But she didn't want too many people around her. She liked walking alone and observing things slowly. So one afternoon, she asked the driver to drop her near a shopping area and decided to explore on foot. As she walked past the glowing windows of expensive shops, one store caught her eye. It had soft golden lights and mannequins wearing beautiful shawls and elegant coats. Lakshmi paused in front of the glass and looked at a deep maroon shawl with tiny embroidery on the edges. It reminded her of the ones her grandmother used to wear in the winters of Tamil Nadu, only this one looked finer, richer. She stood there for a moment, then took a breath and walked inside. The inside of the store was quiet and cool, with a sweet perfume floating in the air. Classical music played softly in the background. A few salespeople, all young and stylish, stood behind glass counters. One of them glanced at Lakshmi but quickly looked away. Lakshmi slowly walked around, her fingers brushing the soft fabric of a beige coat, then a cashmere scarf. She wasn't in a hurry. She didn't understand the brand names, but she liked the feel of the cloth. She finally found the maroon shawl. She had seen in the window and gently lifted it. It was light, soft, and warm, like touching a cloud. She held it up in front of the mirror and smiled quietly. It looked beautiful. She didn't check the price tag at first, but when she did, her eyes opened wide. It was far more than she had expected, over $2,000. She had never even imagined spending that much on a piece of clothing. But then she remembered Sundar's words. "Don't think about the price. Just enjoy." She knew he had more money than he could ever spend, and if this shawl brought her happiness, why not? So she walked slowly to the counter where the saleswoman stood. The young woman had been watching her silently and didn't move. Lakshmi gave her a polite smile and said, "Excuse me, can I take a look at this shawl, please?" The saleswoman looked her up and down. She saw the simple sari, the sandals, the old purse. She didn't see a customer. She saw someone who didn't belong there. "This one is quite expensive," she said coldly. "We have some more affordable pieces in another section." Lakshmi blinked, slightly confused. "I'm interested in this one." The woman's tone sharpened a little. "Ma'am, this is not for everyone. Perhaps you would be more comfortable in a different store. There's a discount outlet 2 blocks down." Lakshmi felt her chest tighten. She was not angry, just surprised. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. She wasn't used to being judged by strangers, and especially not for the way she looked. In India, even in her simplicity, she was respected. Here, she was being treated like she didn't belong, just because of her clothes and quiet manner. She didn't argue. She didn't say who she was. She didn't take out her son's card. She didn't raise her voice. She simply nodded, placed the shawl back gently on the glass counter and said, "Thank you." Then she walked out of the store, her back straight, her face calm. Outside, the sun still shone, and people walked past her, not knowing what had just happened. Lakshmi stood still for a moment and looked back at the shop. Her heart felt heavy, not because she couldn't buy the shawl, but because someone had looked at her and decided she wasn't good enough, without knowing anything about her. A few steps away, a young man had been delivering flowers to another store and had seen the whole thing. He didn't know who Lakshmi was either, but he had watched her grace and the way she walked out without creating a scene. Something about it stayed with him. Lakshmi walked on. She didn't return to the car immediately. Instead, she found a small bench under a tree and sat there for a while. She watched birds fly overhead, people taking selfies, a child licking an ice cream cone. The moment at the store slowly melted away in her heart, but a quiet sadness remained. She didn't tell the driver what had happened. She didn't call anyone. She simply asked to be taken back to her hotel. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the tall buildings, she sat by the window sipping warm tea and thinking about how strange the world had become. She thought about how she had raised Sundar, without expensive toys or rich clothes, just values, books, and love. He had grown into someone powerful, yet humble. And now she had faced a moment where someone judged her without knowing her story, and all because of how she looked. She didn't know that this simple moment, her quiet walk, the way she left the store without anger, would soon turn into something much bigger. But for now, Lakshmi sat quietly, watching the lights of the city sparkle below, her heart full of memories from a life lived in honesty and strength. Lakshmi walked out of the luxury store quietly, her footsteps soft on the smooth pavement. The cool air of Beverly Hills brushed against her face, but inside, she felt a mix of confusion and sadness. She hadn't expected to be treated like this. All she had wanted was to buy a simple shawl, a small token to remember this trip by. But instead, she had been made to feel invisible, unwanted, like she did not belong. As she moved away from the storefront, she noticed the world around her. Continuing without pause, people passed by in their designer clothes, chatting and laughing. Some glanced at her, some didn't. A few curious eyes looked her way, but no one came forward to offer help or comfort. She felt a little lonely in that bustling crowd. Lakshmi had lived a long life. She knew what it meant to be strong and patient. Growing up in a small town in India, she had learned early how to handle hardships without complaint. She had raised her children with care, teaching them respect and kindness. She was proud of Sundar, her eldest son, who had grown up to become a great man with a brilliant mind. But this moment was a reminder of how different the world could be. A few minutes later, Lakshmi sat down on a bench under a tall tree by the sidewalk. The branches swayed gently above her, casting dappled shadows on the pavement. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She thought about the young saleswoman who had looked at her with cold eyes and told her she didn't belong. Lakshmi did not blame the woman entirely. Maybe she was just doing her job, or maybe she had learned to judge people quickly, without understanding them. Nearby, a young man was delivering flowers to the shops on the street. His name was Michael. He had been working part-time at the flower shop for a few months, saving money to support his studies. Michael noticed Lakshmi as she walked out of the store. He saw the gentle sadness in her eyes and the quiet dignity in the way she held herself. Something about her calmness touched him. He wondered what had happened inside the store. Michael had grown up in the city, but he was not used to seeing older people treated so dismissively. He thought about his own grandmother, who always told him to be kind to others, no matter who they were or where they came from. Michael decided to keep an eye on Lakshmi, just in case she needed help. Lakshmi sat quietly, watching the people around her. She noticed a young mother playing with her child in a nearby park, a couple holding hands, and a group of teenagers laughing loudly. Life was moving on all around her, but her heart felt heavy. She thought about the many sacrifices she had made over the years, the long hours working, the sleepless nights worrying about her children's future. She had never wanted much for herself, but she had hoped for a little kindness on this trip. Her phone buzzed gently in her purse. It was a message from Sundar's assistant, checking if she was comfortable and if she needed anything. Lakshmi smiled softly and replied that she was fine, but a little tired. She didn't want to worry her son with what had happened. He was a busy man with important work, and she didn't want to distract him with her small troubles. As the afternoon turned into evening, Lakshmi made her way back to the hotel. The city lights began to twinkle like stars, and the streets slowly emptied. She sat by the window in her room, looking out at the distant hills and the glowing cityscape. Her thoughts wandered back to the shawl in the store, the one she had wanted so badly. It wasn't just about the shawl anymore. It was about respect, about being seen and valued. That night, Lakshmi couldn't sleep well. She kept thinking about the moment in the store and how it had made her feel small. She had never thought of herself as someone who could be judged by her appearance. In her hometown, people knew her for her kindness and wisdom, not for the clothes she wore. The next morning, Lakshmi decided to share the story with a close friend she had met in the hotel. The friend was surprised and saddened to hear about the incident. She reminded Lakshmi that sometimes people judged others based on appearances because they did not understand them. It wasn't right, but it was a part of the world they lived in. Lakshmi realized she was not alone in facing such moments. Many people, especially those who came from simple backgrounds, experienced similar feelings when stepping into worlds of luxury and wealth. But she also knew that she carried with her the strength of her family and the love of her son, Sundar. Meanwhile, back at the luxury store, the saleswoman who had turned Lakshmi away began to feel uneasy. She had done her job without thinking much about the consequences. But now, the memory of the older woman's quiet dignity stayed with her. She wondered if she had been too quick to judge and if she had lost an opportunity to show kindness. The young man delivering flowers, Michael, shared the story with his co-workers and friends. He spoke about Lakshmi's calmness and grace despite the rejection. For him, it was a lesson in humanity, a reminder that everyone deserves respect, no matter their clothes or background. Lakshmi's simple act of walking into that luxury store and facing rejection quietly became a small but powerful story. It showed the invisible walls that still exist between people, even in places full of wealth and beauty. But it also highlighted the strength of a woman who chose kindness and patience over anger and bitterness. As the days passed, Lakshmi continued to explore the city, visiting parks, museums, and small markets. She smiled at strangers and made friends with people she met. She did not let one hurtful moment define her trip. Instead, she used it as a reminder of the importance of dignity and grace. One afternoon, she received a call from Sundar. He asked how she was feeling and listened carefully as she told him about her experiences. Sundar was silent for a moment, then said softly, "Amma, I am proud of you. You carry yourself with such strength. We will make sure no one treats you that way again." Lakshmi smiled through the phone, feeling warmth and love. She knew her son would protect her, not with power but with respect and care. She felt grateful for this trip, even with its difficult moments, because it showed her how much she meant to her family. In the end, Lakshmi's experience was more than just a story about rejection. It was about the quiet courage to face judgment, with dignity, about the strength that comes from love and humility, and about the hope that one day, kindness would be the true luxury everyone could afford. Lakshmi sat quietly in her hotel room, the soft glow of the lamp casting gentle shadows on the walls. Outside, the city lights twinkled like distant stars, but inside, her mind was a whirlwind of emotions. The memory of the luxury store and the cold rejection she had faced kept replaying in her thoughts. She had never expected something like this to happen to her. After all, she was just a simple woman, dressed modestly, who had come to visit her son, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of one of the world's largest tech companies. That evening, Sundar called her on the phone, his voice warm and gentle, like always. "Amma, how are you feeling today? Did you enjoy your walk?" he asked with genuine care. Lakshmi took a deep breath, trying to keep her voice steady. She didn't want to upset her son or make him worry. "I am fine, Sundar. The city is beautiful. But there was something I want to tell you," she said, softly. Sundar's tone immediately grew serious. "What is it, Amma? You can tell me anything." She hesitated for a moment, then shared the story about the luxury store, the shawl, the saleswoman's words, and how she had been made to feel unwelcome. As she spoke, she noticed a subtle change in Sundar's voice, a mixture of surprise, sadness, and something deeper, like a quiet anger she had never heard before. "Amma," Sundar said slowly, "I'm sorry you had to go through that. It's not right. Nobody should be treated that way." Lakshmi smiled gently. "It's okay, Sundar. I am used to facing difficulties in life. This is just another moment. I did not expect anything else. I just wanted to buy a shawl as a gift to remember this trip." Sundar remained quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Amma, you have always been strong. You taught me to be kind and humble no matter what. But this is different. I want to do something about it." Lakshmi was surprised. She had not expected her son to react like this. "What do you mean, Sundar?" "I want to talk to the store, not to punish anyone, but to help them understand how important kindness is. No one should judge anyone else based on their clothes or where they come from." Lakshmi listened carefully, her heart swelling with pride. Sundar's words reminded her of the many sacrifices she had made to give him the values he held dear, the values that had helped him rise to such great heights. But she also knew Sundar was a busy man, with countless responsibilities. "Do what you think is right, Sundar. But please don't worry about me," she said kindly. Sundar promised her he would not let the matter rest. As the call ended, Lakshmi felt a quiet hope stirring inside her, a hope that maybe this small moment could lead to something bigger. The next day, Lakshmi tried to focus on enjoying her visit. She walked through parks, visited museums, and tasted different foods. But her mind often drifted back to the store, the saleswoman, and Sundar's promise. She wondered how a simple act of kindness could change someone's heart. Meanwhile, Sundar was already in motion. He spoke to his personal assistant, asking her to arrange a discreet visit to the store. He wanted to meet the manager quietly and explain why it was important to treat everyone with respect and dignity. Sundar was not interested in causing trouble or embarrassment. He wanted to help the store staff understand that true luxury was not just in expensive clothes or accessories, but in how people treated one another. When Sundar arrived at the store, the saleswoman who had turned away his mother was working behind the counter. She recognized him immediately. For a moment she was nervous and unsure how to act. Sundar greeted the manager first and asked for a private conversation. In the manager's office, Sundar spoke calmly and kindly. He told them about his mother's visit, how she had wanted to buy a shawl, and how the saleswoman's words had hurt her. But more than that, he spoke about the power of kindness, the power to make someone feel valued and respected, no matter who they were or what they wore. The manager listened carefully. Sundar suggested training the staff to be more understanding and to avoid judging customers by their appearance or accent. He wanted the store to be a place where everyone could feel welcome, not just the wealthy or stylish. The saleswoman who had turned away, Lakshmi, stood quietly nearby, absorbing every word. Sundar did not blame her. Instead, he handed her a small bouquet of flowers, a simple gesture to remind her that kindness was the greatest gift. Later, Sundar arranged for his mother to visit the store again, this time with an assistant who helped her choose anything she liked. Lakshmi was surprised and touched. She picked the maroon shawl she had first wanted, smiling as she wrapped it around her shoulders. This time the staff treated her with warmth and respect. The story of Sundar's quiet visit soon spread quietly among the staff and the local community. It became a reminder that true success was not only about wealth or power, but about how people treated each other. Sundar never spoke publicly about the incident, but those who knew him understood the deep lessons he carried in his heart. Lakshmi continued her visit, feeling proud and loved. She realized that sometimes even small moments of kindness could change the world, one person at a time. And she knew that her son's strength was not just in his achievements, but in his compassion, the same compassion she had taught him as a child. Lakshmi's journey after the incident at the luxury store became something much more meaningful than she ever imagined. The maroon shawl she had longed for was no longer just a piece of clothing. It had turned into a symbol of quiet, strength, resilience, and kindness in a world that sometimes forgot these values. After she bought the shawl with the help of Sundar's assistant, Lakshmi wrapped it gently around her shoulders. The fabric was soft, warm, and beautiful, reminding her of the rich traditions of her homeland. But more than that, it reminded her of the journey she had taken. Not just the miles she traveled from India to America, but the journey through life filled with challenges, sacrifices, and love. Her days in California became more joyful. Lakshmi started to explore more places with a new sense of confidence. She visited small local markets, chatted with shopkeepers, and even made friends with a few people who admired her calm and kind nature. People noticed her grace, her simplicity, and the way she carried herself with quiet dignity. She didn't need fancy clothes or expensive jewelry to shine. Her warmth and wisdom were enough. One afternoon, Lakshmi went to a community center where a cultural event was happening. The room was filled with people from many different countries, celebrating their traditions, foods, and music. She sat among them, listening to stories, tasting dishes from various parts of the world, and feeling a deep sense of connection. It was here that she met Maria, a young woman who worked as a volunteer organizing events for immigrants and travelers. Maria was fascinated by Lakshmi's story and the gentle strength she carried. They talked for hours, sharing stories about family, life struggles, and dreams. Lakshmi told Maria about Sundar and the moment at the luxury store, explaining how even small acts of kindness could make a big difference. Maria listened carefully and then said, "Lakshmi, your story needs to be shared. It could inspire many people, especially those who feel out of place or judged. Sometimes people need to hear that kindness is more important than appearances or wealth." Lakshmi thought about this. She was a private person, not used to the spotlight, but Maria's words touched her heart. She realized that her experience was not unique. Many people, especially immigrants or those who came from simple backgrounds, faced similar moments of rejection or invisibility. If her story could help even one person feel stronger or more confident, then maybe it was worth sharing. With Maria's encouragement, Lakshmi began to tell her story at community gatherings and small events. She spoke about the importance of respect, humility, and kindness in a world often obsessed with appearances and money. Her words were simple but powerful, and people listened. They saw in her a reflection of their own struggles and hopes. Meanwhile, back at home, Sundar followed his mother's journey closely. He was proud of how she turned a difficult moment into something beautiful. He often reminded her that true power came not just from success, but from the ability to inspire others. Sundar knew that his mother's story would reach far beyond their family. One day, Sundar invited Lakshmi to join him at a special event where he was speaking about diversity and inclusion in the tech industry. It was a large conference, filled with leaders and innovators from around the world. Sundar wanted to highlight the importance of kindness and respect, values he had learned from his mother. Lakshmi was nervous, but agreed. When Sundar introduced her to the audience and shared her story, the room grew quiet. People were moved by her humility and courage. Lakshmi spoke softly, telling everyone that success meant little without kindness and understanding. Her message touched many hearts. After the event, several attendees approached her, thanking her for sharing her story. Some spoke about their own experiences of feeling judged or excluded, and how hearing her words gave them hope. The media soon caught wind of Lakshmi's story. Articles were written, and interviews were scheduled. But Lakshmi remained humble. She always emphasized that her story was not about herself, but about the power of kindness and respect in everyday life. Through this experience, Lakshmi discovered a new purpose. She began working with organizations that supported immigrants and elderly people, helping them find their voice and dignity in new places. Her gentle presence became a source of comfort and strength for many. Sundar continued to support his mother's efforts, using his influence to promote programs that encouraged empathy and inclusion in schools and workplaces. Together, they became a team dedicated to making the world a better place, not through power or wealth, but through kindness and understanding. Lakshmi's shawl remained with her as a reminder of the moment that changed everything. It was not just a gift from her son, but a symbol of hope and resilience. She wore it often, especially when speaking at events or visiting communities, and people came to recognize it as a sign of her journey. Her story spread beyond the local community, reaching people across the globe. Letters and messages arrived from those inspired by her words, sharing their own experiences and thanking her for reminding them that kindness was the greatest luxury. Through all of this, Lakshmi remained the same humble woman she had always been. She never sought fame or attention. She simply wanted to live with grace and help others feel valued. The incident at the luxury store, which had once felt like a moment of rejection and pain, became the seed for something much larger. It taught Lakshmi, her son, and many others that even in a world divided by wealth and status, the simplest acts of kindness could build bridges and heal hearts. Lakshmi's journey showed that true strength comes from within, from the courage to face hardship with dignity and the willingness to forgive and inspire. Her story became a beacon of hope, reminding everyone that no matter where you come from or what you wear, you deserve respect and love. Lakshmi's life had taken a turn she never imagined. What had started as a simple visit to a luxury store ending in rejection had grown into a powerful story of kindness, strength, and hope. As time went on, her quiet courage inspired many, people both near and far. After her talks at community centers and Sundar's big conference, Lakshmi became known as a symbol of grace and dignity. But she never sought fame. For her, the real reward was the smiles she saw when someone told her, "Your story helped me." She was touched to know that people felt stronger because of her experience. Lakshmi started visiting schools and libraries, sharing her message with children and young adults. She wanted them to understand that true worth was not in the clothes they wore or the money they had, but in how they treated others. She told stories about growing up in a small Indian town, about her family's values, and about the importance of kindness. Her talks were simple but deep. She spoke in a way that made people think about their own actions. She asked questions like, "Have you ever judged someone before knowing their story?" And, "What can we do to make the world more kind?" Many people were moved and promised themselves to be better. Meanwhile, Sundar was working behind the scenes to support his mother's mission. Using his position, he helped launch programs that encouraged kindness in workplaces and schools. He believed that success meant nothing without empathy. The values his mother had taught him were guiding every decision he made. Lakshmi and Sundar also began supporting charities that helped elderly immigrants and people who felt isolated or ignored. Lakshmi knew how painful it could be to feel invisible in a new place. She wanted to help others find their voice and feel valued. One day, Lakshmi received an invitation to speak at an international event about cultural diversity and inclusion. It was a huge honor, but also a little scary. Traveling to new places and speaking in front of large audiences was not easy for her. But she remembered the strength she had found through her journey and accepted. At the event, Lakshmi's speech touched hearts worldwide. She spoke about the importance of respect and kindness across cultures and about the power of empathy to bring people together. Her message was clear: no one should ever be judged by their appearance or background. The event was covered by media all over the world. Lakshmi's story was shared in newspapers, television programs, and online platforms. People from different countries wrote to her, sharing their own experiences of facing judgment or exclusion. They thanked her for reminding them that kindness was a universal language. Through these letters, Lakshmi learned about many different lives and struggles. She realized that no matter where people came from, they shared a common desire: to be seen, heard, and respected. This deepened her commitment to spreading her message even further. Back at home, Lakshmi's family was proud of her, but they reminded her to take care of herself too. The attention and travel could be tiring. Lakshmi agreed, balancing her time between rest and her mission. As her story spread, Lakshmi was invited to write a book. It was a collection of her experiences and lessons about kindness and dignity. She worked slowly, writing in her simple and heartfelt way. The book was published and became popular, touching the lives of many readers. Lakshmi's life had come full circle, from a humble beginning in a small Indian town to becoming a voice for kindness on the global stage. Her journey was a testament to the power of resilience and love. One evening, as she sat quietly in her home, wrapped in her maroon shawl, the one that had started it all, Lakshmi thought about how far she had come. The shawl was no longer just a gift. It was a symbol of hope and transformation. It reminded her that even in the face of rejection, kindness and courage could light the way forward. She thought about the saleswoman at the luxury store, the young man delivering flowers, and all the people who had become part of her story. Each person had played a role, even in small ways, in this journey of compassion. Lakshmi knew that the world was still full of challenges. There were still walls between people, built by fear, judgment, and misunderstanding. But she also believed that with each act of kindness, no matter how small, those walls could come down. Her story was proof that one person's quiet courage could inspire change, and she hoped that many others would find the strength to speak up and show kindness, creating a world where everyone felt welcome and valued. Lakshmi's journey was a beautiful reminder. No matter who you are or where you come from, you deserve respect, love, and kindness. And sometimes, the smallest moments, like a shawl in a luxury store, can start the greatest change. If you want, I can help you turn this story into a full narrative or create related content based on Lakshmi's inspiring journey.